I think war is cool and ethical. As you scroll through Twitter, sorry, X, you see this tweet and a 5-chunk paragraph essay following it. Yikes. You instantly block the user and move on with your life without giving them a second thought. But what if you did give them a second thought? And I'm not saying war is ethical or cool or fun or anything positive, but this way of thinking, immediate blocking of others' ideas, is a negative mindset that allows no room for discussion or debate. A crucial part of having an opinion is also having the ability to listen to opposing opinions. However, in our current internet era, where one button can silence many voices, blocking out others has become all too common, and we end up trapped in bubbles, which are echo chambers where we only hear the same ideas over and over again. These bubbles are also found in real life. In 2020, NPR reported that a massive 80% of Americans don't have any friends on the opposite side of the political spectrum, or only a few. Bubbles trap so many of us. Why do we create them? How do they affect us? And how can we escape? How can we burst the bubble? First, let's get off the trending page of X and dive deeper, looking at why we surround ourselves with similar people. This is mainly for comfort, which comes from familiarity. We seek out people with similar interests, hobbies, race, religion, sexual orientation, and even gaming choices. I'm looking at you, Dungeons and Dragons nerds. This phenomenon is called the similar to me effect. Pretty self-explanatory. However, since this is a normal psychological idea ingrained in us, it makes it that much harder for us to break and escape it. And the internet isn't making it any easier. Virtually all platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and even Facebook have some sort of For You page, where AI algorithms produce a perfectly tailored space, blocking out things and catering to your interests, even if you're that weirdo who likes watching educational videos. Friends or no friends, through our search for comfort, our bubble is directly and indirectly filled with things we agree and feel safe with. And this comfort is also found in stability. Greek philosopher Heraclitus once said, and he's totally right, our lives have become so much different than even a few months ago. I know mine was definitely better. Summer vacation. But since change is constantly happening around us, it seems logical that our opinions and views would constantly change too. However, the opposite actually happens, as all this change only increases our yearning for consistency, which manifests itself in our beliefs. As Adam Grant, organizational psychologist and author of Think Again, The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know, says, too many of us favor the comfort of conviction over the discomfort of doubt. So when our stability is challenged, Grant adds further, it makes the world a little more unpredictable and a little more scarier. Finally, when we do encounter different opinions outside of our bubble, we block them out due to our ego. Pop quiz. How smart do you think you are? If I had to guess, your answer and my answer would be average, but we don't view our opinions and ideas the same way. Take the example of the X tweet earlier I think was cool and ethical. If you and I saw that, you'd be instantly blocked, or at least scrolled past by because it's so egregiously wrong. It's so obviously bad that it doesn't deserve to have a second thought. That's our ego talking. And we can also see this through a non-war related example, like being a cat person over a dog person. Either way, we still believe we're right. Dogs suck. And we see this even further, and we feed into this even further with our generalizations. What do you picture war's ethical user as? Probably not something positive. Since we dehumanize others with our negative stereotypes, that makes it so much easier for us to block them out of our bubble. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the important stuff. Why this all matters. To start with, bubbles limit our knowledge, and they keep us there. This is done through the Dunning-Kruger effect, where less competent people overestimate their competence, expectation versus reality. We become stuck on this peak, where we don't really know a lot, but just enough to think that we do, so we're unwilling to further educate ourselves. This one-sidedness then creates what Arthur Brooks, professor at Harvard Kennedy School, calls a dangerous unreality. Take the war's ethical tweet again. This user might be in a bubble where people believe war is good, with no other conflicting opinions. As a result, this user is trapped with only one viewpoint to the world, trapped in this, like Brooks said, dangerous unreality. Bubbles also increase closed-mindedness through tribalism, which is where large divisions of people are strongly against each other and strongly loyal to their own. This extreme connectedness to our belief and group becomes a big part of who we are. So changing your stance on this thing you've believed for a long time, this thing you built your whole life around, creates a lot of doubt, making us hesitate to open up our mind out of fear of losing the community and identity we found safety in. But this is all kind of negative and a little sad, so let's look on the bright side with a couple of solutions. To start with, having the mindset of a scientist. This frame of mind proposed by Adam Grant in his book Think Again can be broken down into three main parts. The first is humility. Let's continue with that cat person example and say you believe that cats are superior to dogs in every single way. Using the scientific mindset, you would first have to recognize what Grant calls the limits of our understanding, realizing the vast amount of knowledge about felines and canines that you lack. That's where the second part comes in, willingness. Accepting how little we know will make us more opening to listening, especially to opposing ideas. That means reading that dog post when it pops up on your feed instead of instantly blocking it, because you might learn something new. Lastly, have flexibility with beliefs. In that dog post you read, let's say it showed a statistic about dogs costing less money to maintain than cats, a belief opposite to yours. When seeing this new information, we can't stay stubborn, but rather accept the change and update our opinions accordingly. In a way, the mindset of a scientist is like the newest fashion trends. Switched out when something better is presented and knowing that your fashion taste isn't always the best. But I would like to add another part to this three-step mindset, make it a nice rounded 4. Because even if you have the scientific mindset and the willingness for different ideas, in a bubble, there would be very few times when you actually encounter them. Instead, we have to actively seek them out with curiosity. As Arthur Brooks points out, if you read the New York Times, pick up the Wall Street Journal op-ed page every now and then. We have to make that conscious effort to find other beliefs, even if that's, like Brooks said, a simple scroll to read a dog article when you have the time. This curiosity is what really propels us outside of our bubble. It breaks the similarity inside, shakes the stability we normally feel, and lessens our ego. So let's reopen our phones and our minds with a new perspective on bubbles, because whether we know it or not, we're probably in one. But now we understand how to pop them. So while next you may see some questionable things, instead of always blocking them out, maybe actually let it burst your bubble. Thank you.